we're in the midst of the conversation the Gemara had asked at the end of Daf Gimel, where the Gemara asked, why do we need a pasuk, a special pasuk, to tell us aleha that the achos isha is aser because of erva? Why would you think that it's mutter? So the Gemara says essentially that we would think the mitzvah of yibum supersedes or sets aside the los asay. And the Gemara said, well, one, how do we know that? Even though that is true. And number two, it's not true when it's a los asay sheyesh bekares, and this would be a los asay sheyesh bekares, so why would we think so? And the Gemara tried in Daf Daled to learn it from tzitzis and to learn it from some other places. The Gemara essentially said that we have a problem on that you need it to be mufne. You need either the smuchin to be mufne, you need it somehow to be an extra word. That's what the mufne is. It has to be superfluous. So the Gemara is going to try in this daf multiple other attempts of where we can learn this limud from. And the Gemara starts off with Roishe. It says, in regards to Mitzorah, that he has to cut all his hair. And this is a mitzvah actually also in regards to Nazir and in regards to the Leviim. But yet, but over here specifically, what's unique about by Mitzorah, it specifically has an extra word. It says, all his hair he shall remove. And then it says, his head, his eyebrows. I mean, it enumerates it. So that's a ribui, that's a yitur, that's extra, it's superfluous. It's not necessary for the Torah to say, cut off all the hair and also your head. So by saying to shave the head, the Torah is telling us something different. So what's the Torah saying? The Torah is saying that even if this person really should not be cutting their hair on account of that they were a Nazir, first the Gemara learns it's just even though that it's usher to shave your payas, you're not allowed to shave the side of your head. And here the Gemara says that there's actually two opinions. There's an opinion that says you're only not allowed to shave the side of your head if you're only shaving the side of your head and you're leaving the rest. But if you actually shave your entire head, there would be no isser. That's one opinion. This is going to go according to the opinion that there is an isser even if you shave the entire head. Nevertheless, it's going to be usser. So that's what Gemara says, that haitana hakafas kalarosh ma hakafa, that even if you cut off, you shave the entire head, nevertheless, that's going to be a Torah prohibition of baltakif, of the prohibition of shaving the sides of the head, which is the payas. And yet, the Torah says, Rosha, to tell you that a Mitzorah cuts that off. So we see Asay Docholosas. Joaquin, you made a face. You had a question on that? Oh.
You pick up faces easily. I feel like I've seen mainly by Sephardim or maybe Israelis who have like a totally shaved head, and I just don't know. I always thought like maybe they don't know about the halacha of haircuts. Is this maybe a thing?
It is not halachic.
Okay.
Yeah.
No need to.
But there is such an opinion. There is such an opinion. It doesn't make it halachic. We don't pass them from one sheet in the Gemara. But there is such a sheet. But the Gemara says, according to the opinion that it's usher, Rosh is coming to tell you that yet it should cut it out. They cut it off. So the Gemara says, okay, but this is distinct because it's she'ein shavalako. This isser is not equivalent to all. And since it's not equivalent to all, not everybody has the isser, therefore it's unique. And maybe that's why the asay can be dochalos asay. Rashi explains. Why is it not equal to all? Because women don't have this prohibition. Women are allowed to have their heads shaved, even the sides of their head. And as the Gemara learns, the Kiddushin, it's not relevant right now where we know this from, just that it is that is the case. What's interesting is, however, it does apply to women at least in some opinions, that they're not allowed to they're not allowed to shave a man's head. So it does apply to them, but as the subject, not the doer, but as the subject, it does not apply to them. And this is an interesting thing about that Isser of Bal Takif, that as opposed to most Isurim, most prohibitions, it's an Isser in doing something. You're not allowed to do something, that's the prohibition. Here, not only doing it, but also having it done to you is also Isser. Not only the one giving the haircut, but also the one having the haircut done are Isser in it. So the woman, only one end would apply. She's not allowed to give a haircut to a man, but she's allowed to have such a haircut done to her. So in any case, it is an Eino Shava Bakol. Now in the definition, so Rashi throws in something over here which is very interesting. All of a sudden, in this Rashi here, Rashi says, Hilkach itzrich alea lemesa ever liyibum. Rashi all of a sudden wakes up and says, oh, and now that we have a good, we can learn this from the Metzora, shaving his head. Therefore, we need Aleha, the extra pasuk, to tell us that erva is aser in Yibum. Yes, it's true. That is the whole subject matter of these few daf that we're learning. Asay de Chalosasay is to tell us why we even needed a special teaching, a special drasha of Aleha to tell you that erva is aser in Yibum. But why is Rashi throwing it in here? So it's not clear. There's a lot has been said about it, but what's unique over here is that it is a unique prohibition in that the Metzora himself has a mitzvah to shave his head, so he's allowed to shave the side of his head. But there's also a prohibition for the person doing the haircut. He's not allowed to shave someone's payas, and he doesn't have the mitzvah of shaving the Metzora's head. So that's unique in its similarity to Yibum. Yibum also, he has a mitzvah to establish his brother's household by continuing his brother's marriage and marrying his erva. But the erva doesn't have the mitzvah. The mitzvah is not on the Yevomos. And how can she do it? We asked this question last week. Here Rashi says, I now found a similarity. I found the similarity in a case where we see that the Yibum is going to be allowed not only for the person who has the mitzvah, but also for the other party who doesn't have the mitzvah, but yet their Isser, their prohibition is going to be set aside or superseded on account of the mitzvah that one party has, because it's a two-party mitzvah. Same goes with shaving the head. He has a mitzvah, the Metzora has a mitzvah to shave his head at the end of his tzaras and part of the tahara process. And he has a prohibition. So we could say, there's a mitzvah of shaving his head. There's an Isser of not shaving the payas. So one will supersede the other. Wonderful. But what about the person giving the haircut? So what we said last week, and this is the concept, means that the mitzvah supersedes to the level that whatever it takes to get the mitzvah done needs to be done. And in the case of Yibum, that means that even the Yevomos is allowed to marry, right? Have Yibum done, meaning she's allowed to go into a marriage with her erva. That would have been the thought. And over here, actually, it's true. Someone else who's not allowed to shave this man's, any person's payas is allowed to do it on behalf of this person. Is allowed to do it on behalf of this person. Sorry. Is allowed to do it on behalf of this person and give them the haircut that they need, even though they don't have the mitzvah of the shaving the Metzora. They do have the Isser of shaving the payas, but since the Metzora needs it, his mitzvah supersedes not only his own prohibition, but everybody else, the other party of who would be prohibited to do it to him, are also permitted because the mitzvah needs to be done. So that's the concept of asay de cholosasay, and that's why Rashi throws this little bit. That's one reason given that why Rashi throws this little bit in right over here. Then the Gemara tries the asay of from Metzora, where by Metzora also it says by Nazir. By Nazir also, the Gemara says the reason by Metzora is because it is a weak prohibition. Why is it a weak prohibition? Because you can undo it on account of you can be mater neder. You uttered, I will be a nazir. That makes you a nazir. But you can undo that by going to Beis Din, and Beis Din can nullify it. They can be matir neder, mefer neder, and then voila, it's going to be, he's going to undo his naziris. And since it's such a weak isser that can be undone, perhaps that's why asay say the mitzvah can supersede the prohibition of nazir. But maybe maybe in general asay is not derchalosas. Now, to understand this, we have to understand that this is not so clear at all in the concept of what a nazir is. And I just want to break down in short what is the prohibition of nazir. It's a three-way machlokas, and it's really based on a machlokas in the Gemara. The Mefarshim explain this, that in the Gemara in Nazir Nun Aleph, Mem Aleph, the Gemara in Nazir Mem Aleph seems to say that the Isurei of Nazir is Eina Shava Bakol. It's not only, why? Because only the Nazir has the prohibitions. Obviously, it should be considered an Eino Shava Bakol. It's not an equal opportunity isser. It applies to some and it doesn't apply to other. And we would understand that because we would say, look, you and I, we try to keep the Torah and we're not obligated in the halachas of Nazir. So what's the idea? The idea is that I didn't accept Naziris. So we see some people are obligated in Nazir, some aren't. And that would define it as an Eino Shava Bakol. We have a Gemara in Nazir Nun Ches, Mem Ches. Nazir Mem Ches says that it is a Shava a Bakol. It does count as a mitzvah Shava Bakol, and seems to be a contradiction in the Gemara. And so the Mefarshim explain that there are three ways to understand. This is a lengthy Avnei Miluim. It comes from elsewhere. But there are three ways to understand the Isser of a Nazir. In general, we know the halach of a neder is that what I'm creating a prohibited object. Essentially, a neder says, I forbid upon me this apple. So I'm not prohibited to eat the apple. That would be a prohibited action by me. But rather, the apple is prohibited to me. The apple becomes like treif. It becomes a cheftza shel iser, a substance, a matter of iser. Whereas a shavua, an oath, is I will not eat that apple. The apple is permissible to me. It's not a subject matter of iser. I have a vow. I have something to keep. So I may not do the action of eating it. So that's a iser gavra, an iser on me as a person. But the subject is not usher. And there are distinctions, many halachic distinctions. Whereas I cannot take an oath and say I'm not going to sit in a sukkah because I'm obligated already to sit in a sukkah. But I'm allowed to say I may not benefit, I prohibit wood to my benefit. Because there I'm prohibiting the subject. And the cheftza becomes usher. I'm not contradicting my mitzvah, which is I'm obligated to do. I'm prohibiting the subject matter, and I'm going to have to find out how I can make a sukkah without benefiting from wood. We're not going to get into mitzvahs lahanis, whether mitzvahs are benefits or not. It's irrelevant to the point. The point being that one is a iser chefza, one is a gavra. So the question is, what is nazir? Nazir is a neder. The Torah calls it that. When I say the neder of being a nazir, am I prohibiting the subject, the item, or am I prohibiting myself? That's two ways. There is a third way. What's the third way? And this is Marik, and there's others that learn this way, and this is a very unique thing. Essentially, what a Nazir is doing is, you and I want to become a Kohen, we cannot become a Kohen. Yeah, you're either born a Kohen or you're not a Kohen. A Nazir is taking upon themselves, essentially, sort of like to be a Kohen. It said, I accept upon myself to be a Nazir. I'm not accepting a prohibition. I'm not accepting a mitzvah. I'm accepting the status of Nazir. With it comes many prohibitions, like being a Kohen has many prohibitions. A Kohen is not usher on account of his being a Kohen. Of prohibition of Tuma. It's on because of the status, because he is a Nazir. Because he is a Kohen, he's prohibited in certain things. Nazir is the same according to this third opinion. Nazir is essentially a status, and the person accepts a status on themselves. Once they have that status, it is prohibited. They're prohibited in many things. So the Gemara in Nazir Memches, which says that it's a mitzvah shava bakol. You know why it's a prohibition that applies to everybody? Because it applies to everybody that will be a Nazir. Or the Gemara in Mem Aleph says, no, it's Eina Shava Bakol, because not everybody is a Nazir. I'll demonstrate this distinction in how to define Shava Bakol in another area. There's a very unique halacha that the Ran talks about. Essentially, on Shabbos, everybody has an area that they're allowed to travel on Shabbos and not beyond. The area that I cannot travel, is that a prohibition shava bakol? Because everybody's not allowed to travel outside of the tchum. But it's different for each person. I'm allowed to travel in the entire Portland and 2,000 amma outside of the square of Portland. If somebody in Eugene can't travel outside of the Eugene area, but they can travel in there. I can't go there. They can't come here. Is it shava bakol? So the Ran says that's not shava bakol. It's not an equal prohibition. Now, if we think about it, everybody has the same prohibition of not traveling outside of their tchum on Shabbos. So if we look at the title, at the application of the general prohibition, it equally applies to everybody. If we look at how it affects everybody, where the ramifications are, where it plays out, it's going to be different for every person. Not for every person, but it's going to be different for many different people, right? It's going to be different. So the Ran considers that an Eino Shava Bakol, not equal to everyone. Similarly, for Nazir, we can say, even though everybody could, the halachas of Nazir apply to everyone if they only accept it. If you don't accept it, it doesn't apply, of course. But if you accept it, it applies equally to everyone. So then maybe it's a Shava Bakol. Or do we say no? But since it doesn't apply to me, it's not Shava Bakol. This is easier to understand according to this third way, where we say, of course, the prohibition is out there for everyone. Everyone that is a Nazir is not allowed to drink wine and eat grapes, etc. It's simply you have to accept the status on yourself, and then you have that. So you're not really defining an object. You're not prohibiting grapes upon yourself. You're not prohibiting wine upon yourself. Rather, what you're doing is you're accepting a status, and now we have to define, is that a Shava Bakol or not? However, our Gemara, the important part is for our Gemara. Because in our Gemara, you can't learn that. Because if you say that really the prohibition applies to everybody, meaning that it's a well-established existing Isser. You just have to be in the status. Once you're in the status, the Isser is there. So you can never undo that. You can undo the status, but you can never undo the prohibition. The prohibition of the obligation of growing your hair is not your acceptance. That's not your neder. That's that's an equal mitzvah to everyone. So our Gemara must be going with the Gemara of Nazir Mem Aleph and not the Gemara of Nazir Mem Ches. And that's a very important distinction because the Rambam doesn't paskin like our Gemara. The Rambam paskins like that Gemara. So 2 points just to review. One is, what is the definition of Shaveh Bakol or Eina Shaveh Bakol? How do we look at it? Is it the application or the general concept? The general concept of the prohibition may apply to everyone, but the application may not apply equally to everyone. And in such a case, like in Nazir, like in Techum Shabbos, is that considered Shaveh Bakol or not? The Gemara then goes back to Tzitzis and tries to learn it from Tzitzis again.
Is there an answer? Is it, or are there different opinions on it?
It seems like a machlokas in the Gemara. Okay. It seems like the Gemara in Nazir Mem Aleph and the Gemara in Nazir Mem Ches are going in two different ways, because the Gemara says about Nazir, one says it's Shaveh Bakol in Mem Ches, and in Mem Aleph it says it's Eina Shaveh Bakol. So it seems to be a machlokas in the Gemara itself.
It seems to me that depending on how much detail you're willing to describe each particular halachic scenario with, you could say everything is Eino Shaveh Bakol. Because, like, say someone has like a piece of treif meat. So the Isser, I would generally think that the Isser of eating treif meat is not Shaveh Bakol, or is Shaveh Bakol. It's kind of the same Isser for everyone, right? But this particular piece that he has here happens to be unique to what he has. Someone half a continent, on the other side of the continent.
Yeah, but I also may not eat that one. Now that's different, because that piece of meat is usher to you and to me equally. The fact that I don't have access to it doesn't make it not usher to me.
The same with the Techum.
No, the Techum actually.
If you were in the same situation, that the other person is in, then the Techum would be equally usher to you.
No, but
you just happen to be in a different situation. You're in a different city.
Fine, but that means that to me, Eugene is usher, and to a Eugenian, Portland's usher. That means that it's a different prohibition. That's distinct.
Okay. Yeah, I hear.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's what the Ran says in Shabbos, in that there is a distinction in Techum. So we have a very unique concept in what is the definition of Shaveh Bakol, a mitzvah that applies equally to everyone. Then the Gemara goes into to multiple attempts of tzitzis again to find an extra word either in shatnez or tzitzis, and it goes and rejects them. But it rejects shatnez because it says that shatnez is required to be shua, tavi, venaz. Needs to be, let's say, combed, spun, and either woven or twisted in order to be transgress. Tosfos over here brings from Rashi, Rivan, that Rashi holds that you need to do all three together. You need to comb the wool and linen together, and you need to spin the wool and linen together, and you need to weave the wool and linen together, and otherwise it's not shatnez. And our Gemara is explicitly not that way, because our Gemara says that if you take two pieces, one of linen, one of wool, and you put two sews, two tekifos, twice the needle goes in and out, that's sufficient to count as having sewn it together. How can Rashi say that it requires both combing the wool and linen together, the spinning it together, when our Gemara clearly is not that way? And really, it seems already in the Rishonim, it's quite clear this concept. But Reb Chaim Soloveitchik says it most clearly. Others have a different language for the same idea, that Rashi, Rambam, Rivan, and other Rishonim hold that there are two separate concepts of shatnez. There's the prohibition of wearing a garment that has both wool and linen in it. But there it'd have to be somehow that the wool is, that they are both noticeable and effective. there is another concept of a prohibited matter of clothing. Not that it's prohibited to wear it, but it's prohibited to have. Similar to the concept of basa b'chalav, which is a unique mitzvah. Not with all other foods, the isser is to eat it. Basa b'chalav, the Torah says, lo tavashal. You're not even allowed to create the mixture. You're not allowed to cook milk and meat together. Same with shatnez. You're not allowed to do these three things together and create such a garment, even if you don't plan to wear it. The creation is prohibited. Additionally, even if it wasn't combed together and it wasn't spun together, you just have something connecting the two, that would also be a prohibition of shatnez to wear, but it wouldn't be a prohibited garment. So we have in the sugya here a new concept of shatnez. The definition of shatnez not only as a garment you're not allowed to wear, but also the creation of shatnez according to Rashi and Rivan and others. Last, I'll just quickly go into the last point is the Gemara makes a distinction and says maybe perhaps isurim that came prior, or mitzvahs that came prior to Matan Torah would be distinct. And there's a question in the Gemara itself, because the Gemara is making a distinction between Shabbos and Pesach, Shabbos and Kibbutz Av versus Pesach and Bris and Tamid, which were before Matan Torah. Well, you know what? Actually, in Mara, prior to Matan Torah, you also have Shabbos and Kibbutz Av given. So what's the distinction? So hopefully we'll flesh this out a little more on Thursday. But the Maratzchias here gives an opening to the concept of why would there be a distinction of a mitzvah that was given prior to Matan Torah, therefore asay dochalosasay or not? Why would that change the mitzvah? Either you say asay dochalosasay or not. Who cares if it was there prior? So the way he says it is, what came into the space of what? A mitzvah that it was already existent prior to Torah, and then Torah comes and gives you another mitzvah, that's entering the space of an already existent mitzvah. And therefore it can't take hold. It can't supersede that mitzvah. That's what the Gemara is saying. Something that was already there prior, Shabbos and Kibbutz Av came in Mara, but the other mitzvahs were there beforehand already. And since they were there beforehand, this is coming into its place. So can I do a bris on Shabbos? Yes. Why? Because bris was there before Shabbos. And when Shabbos came, it can tell you can't do malacha, but it can't tell you can't do bris because bris is already a mitzvah prior to that. It wants to tell you don't bring a carbon Pesach. It can't. Pesach came before Shabbos. So that's the wording of the Maratzchias. It's a very nice way to explain this. This is coming into the domain.
Is this, I understand the concept, but is it pre-Matan Torah and afterwards, or even order, in Devarim or something like that? First we give this and then that, or is
not the order. Post Matan Torah, there's no order because that's all sort of one giving of the Torah. Okay,
so before Matan Torah, so we had
but the order before Matan Torah.
Kodesh was the first mitzvah given in Mitzrayim. Is this docha everything else? Is the next mitzvah has to do with preparation for Yetziat Mitzrayim, the first Seder? Is that docha everything that comes afterwards?
That's what this Gemara is going to be saying. Yes, okay. That the prohibitions, the isurim that come after a certain mitzvah. So, for instance, Shabbos, which came after Pesach, cannot limit when you make the carbon Pesach. And therefore, even if the 14th day of Nisan is Shabbos, you will bring the carbon Pesach. Because that mitzvah, it's ba b'gvul, it came into the space of the other mitzvah. Okay, we'll leave that as the introduction for this staff.